Is out, and what are we as Prince fans getting? We're getting a rock, and I'm not talking about a kick-ass rock and roll Prince hella guitar album. I'm talking about we got a rock like the Charlie Brown, the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown rock. Everybody else is getting some nice ear snacks for record store day. We got a rock. Welcome to Amari Purple Talk. I'm Richard Cole, and today I'm going to talk about there's no Prince for record store day. So, as you know, this week the official list, actually February 16th, is when the list for record store day, which will be on April 22nd of this year, the list has dropped. And overall, I'm a little underwhelmed by the list. Not just, because there's no Prince, but, you know, usually there's one or two things I would get excited about. In addition to a Prince item, there was one year, in fact, when the Truth album was released on vinyl on Record Store Day. I also got Donny Hathaway Live, Fela Kuti Open and Close. And, usually there's something. And there is something for everybody. But this year, not really. Not going to go in depth on the list because, like I said, we're going to talk about Prince and what's not happening and what we're not getting for Record Store Day this year. But a couple of things on this list for me that, like, maybe I might think about picking up. Number one is the vinyl release, Half Speed Master. Forget what the gram of vinyl is, but the Paul McCartney and Wings album, Red Rose Speedway, that will be dropping on vinyl on Record Store Day, and the Temptations All Directions album from 1972, and that is the classic album that has the hit Papa Was a Rolling Stone. That's part of that album. The thing about those two, that they are Record Store Day first releases, and what that means is that they will be exclusive to Record Store Day, but after whatever, couple of weeks, month, whatever, then it will be in wide stream, be a mainstream release. So you can pick it up on Amazon or your local record store. You can find a copy of it down the line. But if you just have to have it for Record Store Day, it will be exclusive to that particular day. Like I said, for me, I think I'll just wait and just get those down the line. I don't think I'm going to participate in Record Store Day. But the news that there is no Prince, no album, no vinyl, no single, no cassette, no nothing for Record Store Day. And it's kind of adding more flame to the fire, that there hasn't been a significant announcement. They've been announcing socks and scarves and merchandise. I mean, I've never really seen the like for any legacy artist. And I mean, every legacy artist living and those that have, ascended, become the ascended master, so to speak. Yeah, you go on their websites, they have a section for merchandise, where you can buy t-shirts and mugs and little curious, novelty items. Again, socks, scarves, whatever, you name it. But I have never seen a legacy, whether it's a John Lennon or whether it's a Jimi Hendrix. Never seen them, just ram merchandise like in an off season. Maybe the holidays. Yeah, in addition to, buying great music, you can get this coffee mug or t-shirt or something. And I get it. They want to try to do something different from what everybody else is doing, and they want to try to, you know, like overwhelm us with this great big announcement. Which a couple of things I'll touch on in whether it's the podcast only version of Amari Purple Talk or another video down the line. But I think at this point, whatever the marketing strategy is, whatever they're trying to surprise us with, if they're surprising us with anything at all, I don't. To me, it's just not a working marketing scheme at all. I don't think it's working. What it's doing, it's making the fan base more and more frustrated. Again, myself, I've even commented to like Charles Spicer, I'm not sure what his role in the estate is, but I'm assuming he's the guy that sort of replaced Troy Carter and Michael Howe as kind of the curators of the vault, and making the decisions on what's being released. And I said in a tweet, that hey, I'm optimistic, critical, but optimistic. And I get it. We still may have a chance. I'll err on the side of optimism. We still have April coming up. We still have June coming up. There's plenty of time to still make an announcement, whether it's going to be the Love Symbol album Super Deluxe, or the Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe, or Parade Super Deluxe, or, compilation album, box set, something. There's still time. But I think the importance of a record store day, if they're waiting to, drop this big announcement on a big mainstream release, they could have done something for record store day. It could have been something as simple as just a 45 single, if nothing else, to release on that day, and just say, hey, thank you for hanging in with us. Here's a 45 single, with something that, hey, double A side of some things we've never heard before from the vault. Or, an alternate mix of some classic song or classic B side, or I don't know, something, but I think that it's just adding to the frustration of the fan base. And like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic, but to me, it's almost like what's going on with the Ticketmaster situation, or, all this other stuff that's going on musically that's got nothing to do with music. It's just greed and, upsetting the fan bases. I remember, let's see, probably the first record store day, maybe not the first, but maybe a couple of years down the line, where, the estate, I mean, kind of on a roll, the Purple Rain Super Deluxe, it was nice to have, but it wasn't perfect. Again, I'll address that in another video later. But, once they got the ball rolling with whatever, the 1999 Super Deluxe Edition, Originals, the 1983 piano and a microphone, with everything that they've been rolling out with, I think by the time you got to like a 2018, was it 2019? I can't remember. But, the first big thing since Prince's transition as far as record store day goes, for me, was picking this up. And this was something that was originally released in Japan. But again, something special for record store day. Won't get too much into the content. If you have this already, cool. For those of you that don't, I think you can still get it on vinyl. You can also get it on CD as well. In fact, one day I might just get the CD for that. Just last year, just last year, we got the release of the Gold Experience on vinyl. This was sort of the holy grail because the lawsuits tied up with the most beautiful girl in the world kept this, not only this, but the actual CD itself kept this from getting released and finally worked things out. And look, guess what? Record Store Day. They dropped this, and then I think I know it was the same week because this was the June edition of Record Store Day. So you got this, and then a few days later, they reissued the Gold Experience CD. So, I mean, this wasn't anything that was complicated to do. This isn't a box set. This isn't a super deluxe edition. It's just the original album. It's not even remastered, even. But, I mean, it still sounds great. But, it was something for Record Store Day. I think Record Store Day is about the record collectors. And, record collectors, if you're a fan of whatever artist, if you look at the Record Store Day list, you see a variety of things: rock music, country music, jazz music, a variety of things. So if you're a collector, if you're a fan of all the genres, cool, there's something you can get. Or if there's a particular artist, like, again, Paul McCartney and Wings, the Rolling Stones, there's some Muddy Waters that's going to be available for Record Store Day. The Temptations have something for Record Store Day. Again, just a reissue of an original album from 1972, and considered among their best albums, especially the early 70s for the Temptations. Oh, look at this. Prince, The Truth. Now, longtime listeners of Amari Purple Talk, 6 months, a year prior to this actually being released, what did I say? Hey, be cool if they dropped this on vinyl or they released it as a standalone. So far, this was only available on vinyl. The CD, if you could still find the Crystal Ball set, this was like the bonus disc that came with that. Again, I think this is something that should get a re-release as a standalone on CD even. But yeah, I mean, again, nothing complicated about this. This wasn't part of anything major. Prince has more than enough material to where you could do a lot of things like this. And again, while everybody's sitting around and trying to ooh, we're going to surprise them. Ooh, we're going to do this. And it's like, no, you keep hitting us with scarves and socks and pajamas, No, like I said, all the other legacies, I see merchandise on the Jimi Hendrix website. I see merchandise on the John Lennon website or whoever. Everybody's got merchandise, and that's cool. It's nice little thing for your fans. But we come mainly for the music because we love the music. I've got a couple of Prince t-shirts. I don't have a lot, but that's it. Mostly everything for me is the music. For me, see back here, the Sign of the Times set, 1999 set. There's some One Night Alone live, the Up All Night set back there, the Prince and the Revolution live DVD. Those are the things that get us excited. And once we buy those, and it's like, oh, cool, we'll buy the 1999 t-shirt. We'll buy the Sign of the Times t-shirt. Or it'd be nice to have a little, Sign of the Times mug. And I get it. They're trying to, sort of emulate or imitate Prince's thought process or his belief system when he was still here. And as I mentioned in a previous video, that I don't think this is good marketing for the estate. The reason why Prince kept that material on lockdown mostly because he felt, okay, a lot of these songs, they're good in the state that they're in, but for me to release them, I would have to do this to it or overdub it, or okay, now I recorded this in 83, but now here it is, 2014. I have to kind of bring it up to 2014 standards. Maybe not try to, remix it to where it sounds like, hip hop or whatever, but, proper mix, maybe some things need to be taken out of the mix, some things added into it, a few overdubs here and there, some mixing here and there, and it would be perfect for release, which he deemed satisfactory. And his thought process was that he was always forward thinking, he was always thinking in real time. So in doing that, he was always thinking about the here and now. And now that we don't have that, that legacy is now truncated. It's a beginning and there's an end. There's no more real time Prince. He felt what he wanted to say in the moment was more important than what he was thinking yesterday or 10 years before, 20 years before, 30 years before. It's been a process of growth. Now that there's this beginning, middle, and end, we realize that we're no longer getting music in real time. So, what helps us as a fan base is, regardless of what era that you enjoy, you get to celebrate those things about you being a Prince fan that you get to celebrate. And that's what, whether it's having already released albums reissued, remastered, or having a box set so we can, go through, not only relive the memories of whatever album that we were enjoying at whatever period, but to watch the evolution of that album, to hear like, oh, well, this song, oh, this would have been great on the album. He should have put this on and whatever, to have those celebrations, to have those debates about just how great a lot of that music is. And to try to, like I say, to try to, I don't know, this is just my perspective. I'm just a podcast pundit. I don't have any inside information, but just kind of from what I'm seeing is they're trying so hard to copy Prince in a way that it's like all the mystery and the silence and the all this cryptic stuff that's going on. That only worked for him. This is his vision. This is how he wanted to present himself and his music. And again, sacrificing everything in that vault for whatever message he wanted to put out, or whatever music or whatever he was feeling at that time. That took the precedence over anything in the vault, no matter how good or how terrible the stuff inside of it is. And to me, I just feel like that's not the marketing strategy to go with. That's not the business model for this estate. Even Prince himself once said, hey, the best way to imitate me is to be yourself. And that means look at the body of work. Look at the legacy of what's been released and how to best honor those memories and at the same time honor that message. But this, trying to figure out what was going on, sadly, there's no plan. There was no pre-existing plan. David Bowie had a plan. Frank Zappa had a plan. And even if the plan, like in case of a will or whatever, I think they, other legacy, they don't try to, They just try to honor the music and they try to honor the fan base. Because without that fan base, it doesn't matter who you are. You're not selling one single record. If you're not pleased. Now, granted, you're not going to please everybody. But you don't see a lot of fans jumping ship. They may have opinions on certain releases, but for the most part, they like something. They find something to enjoy in it. Or if they don't, they still have the original albums to hold on to in that case. And I'm, kind of worried that that's what's happening right now is, that's all we're going to be left with. I mean, there's a lot more I could say and probably do some more videos down the line. But again, we got a rock for Record Store Day. And I hope we don't get a rock before the end of 2023. Purple Rain is cool, but I know 2024 is coming, but let's not piss off your fan base before, because while Purple Rain is cool, there's a lot of fans that we've heard it all before. We don't want to hear it again, but we do want a better box set, so that may help. What do you think? Are you just as frustrated by everything that's not going on? Are you confused by the whole cryptic 3 + 1 + this + that? To me, what it's adding up to is nothing plus nothing times nothing divided by nothing, carry the nothing, nothing. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to get something big before the end of the year? Do you think they're just going to wait and start out and kick things off with the whole Purple Rain 40th anniversary, which isn't till 2024? Do you think they're just kind of forced to be quiet and pushing the pajamas on us until the Netflix documentary? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And until then, folks, thanks for tuning in. The podcast only version of Amari Purple Talk, new episode will be coming soon, as well as more videos. So jump on the links in the show notes and become a subscriber, become a supporter. Want to keep doing this a lot, and I mean a whole lot. So what little, even if it's just a $1 a month to do, that brings me a little bit closer to making that a reality. So until then, create your day and create your life. Peace.